Jamie Dry here again. I want to talk to you today about my wrist pain that I got earlier this past year and the quick fix that I came up with for dealing with it. What had happened is I started doing a lot more driving than I'd ever done before. And I got into a bad habit of putting my hand to the top of the steering wheel, just kind of sitting there, chillaxing, without moving at all. I would keep it in the same position, wouldn't switch hands, wouldn't switch positions, and the small muscles in the end of my forearm and around my wrist were basically just in this low grade but long duration contraction for hours on end, day after day. It started getting the muscles to be really knotted up and loaded with trigger points, and then it also then started taking all the small bones on my wrist because the muscles were contracted, pulling them close together, which meant when I went to go do push-ups and take a yoga class, I didn't have good extension and it hurt really bad. It was totally screwing up my lifts because of the pain, it made the whole hand feel really weak. So let's take a quick look here at the 3-step process for fixing your own wrist pain. Step 1, figure out the offending activity and change it. Step 2, release the trigger points in your forearm muscles. And then step 3, strengthen the antagonistic muscles in your forearm. What does that mean? All right, let's break this down. And I'm going to go ahead and use myself as an example, but I want you to remember that we're all going to have different issues with our forearm. So I want you to understand the concepts of how we break this down and get into it. But specifically how you're going to do it for yourself is going to be a matter of deduction, because the forearm can work in a lot of different ways, as we'll describe in a few minutes. Okay. So, figuring out what you did. I was holding the steering wheel in a very particular position, and that was the offending activity for me. So, I switched up to the other hand, but then I started getting problems over here. That didn't help, because now I've got pain just elsewhere. So what I need to do is constantly change up my grip. That helped. Step 2, release the trigger points. There's a lot of different ways you can go about this. If you want to start seeing results immediately, like right now in the next 10 minutes, you could start off where I did, which was just manually digging in to where the trigger points were for you. So for me, they were in the pronator deep inside my forearm between the two muscles. Now, that doesn't mean that you might have them in your flexors, your extensors, your supinators. I'm not sure. You're going to have to figure out where your offending activity is. And then in a little bit, I'm going to talk to you about the different actions, and I'm going to give you the tools for you to figure it out in a second. Okay? So you can start off digging in on yourself. You can order the stick and do some self-massage on some of the muscles to loosen it up. You can go see a massage therapist, or you can see an acupuncturist. And I think those two are great. If you've got a good massage therapist, an acupuncturist in the area that you see, and you've got the money for it, then by all means, absolutely do that. The last thing that I recommend on releasing the trigger points is doing some active stretching. So for me, I was in this position, so I wanted to start stretching in the opposite way to get that range of motion back. When the trigger points started to release, I then wanted to stretch it out and get those fibers to come farther and farther apart so they could move better. Got it? Now, one quick caveat, what made it active is I wasn't just hanging out there, I was also flexing into it and then relaxing. I contract for a few seconds and then relax. You can do that 3 to 5 times. Step 3, strengthen the antagonistic muscles. So this is where it's helpful to start understanding some of the movements of the wrist. It's going to help you strengthening. It's also going to help you with the active stretch. Quick lesson. Your forearm and your wrist joint can go into extension and flexion. You can do radial and ulnar deviation, and then you can also move into supination and pronation. You don't have to remember the names, just remember you can go ah, ah, ah. Got it? Ah. Okay, good, cool. You work on it. There won't be a test later, but you can always hit the rewind button. Now, in order to strengthen through these different planes of motion, you, again, now that you've figured out what the offending activity was, you have to do the opposite motion. So for me, I was always in this position. So I needed to start strengthening my supinator muscles, like so. I did that by holding onto my wrist and working against my own manual resistance. That helped. For me, extension and flexion wasn't an issue because I was always holding the steering wheel in this kind of position, but I was always kind of holding my wrist in ulnar deviation. So in order to start strengthening radial deviation this way, you could use your hand a little bit. That helped. But I happened to have a flex bar around, and that was very helpful. So I just held it like so and started flexing against it. This is the red. It's kind of easy. I also have a green one that gets a little bit harder, but I'm a huge fan of the red. I hardly ever need the green. So that's how I went ahead and did the manual resistance. Little cheat sheet, if you want, you can click the link in my description box of this video, which will take you to my website where I've got illustrations for the musculature of your forearm. There's also a download sheet if you want to go ahead and order these two pieces of equipment. They're like $20, $25 a piece. It's a great investment because it helps with a lot of other issues. You can see in some of my other videos. It's totally worth the money. Cool? All right. So, now, let's recap. All right? My 3-step process for you to fix your own wrist pain includes step 1, figure out the offending activity and change it. Step 2, release the trigger points. And then step 3, start to strengthen the antagonistic muscles. If this is helpful to you and you likey my video, then go ahead and hit the subscribe button because I got a lot more content coming out in the future. And also, I'm really curious about what's going on with your wrist. So when you figure out what the offending activity is, go ahead and put it in my comments box. That'd be kind of neat for me to find out. I'd really appreciate that. I'm Jamie Dreyer. Thanks again for watching my video. I appreciate you sticking around the whole length of it, and I'll see you on the next one.